Okay, this is the review sheet for Unit 4 exam. So number 1 says, what is the solution to the system of equations? Graph below. The solution is where the lines intersect, which is right here. All right, and that's where they intersect. So the solution is 2 and then up 3. The y is 3. And that is the solution of the system. Number 2 says solve the system of equations using the substitution method. So that means when they're both set equal to y, you can circle one and substitute in for the other. So when you rewrite this, it is 5x plus 10 equals 10x minus 20. As always, remember when you are solving, you go ahead and get the smaller x over to the larger using inverse operations. The 5x's cancel, 10 comes down, equals, and then 10x minus 5x is 5x minus 20. To get the x alone, remember, you have to get everything away from the side that the x is on already. So you add 20 on both sides, cancels out, you have 5x equals 30. And then divide by 5 to get the 5 away from the x, to isolate the x, the variable, and x equals 6. So x equals 6. Now you just pick one of these equations to substitute back into. So I'm going to pick the first one. Y equals 5x plus 10. My x is 6. So when I rewrite it, it's y equals 5 times 6. Substituting the, that's 5 times 6, plus 10. Substituting the x, your x, in for the x. The 6 in for the x, which is substitution. Y equals 5 times 6 is 30. Bring down the plus 10. And y equals 40. So the system of these equations, 6 for the x and 40 for the y. And that's where the two lines, these two linear functions, that's where they cross, that's where they intersect. Number 3 says find the slope and the y-intercept of the equation provided. To do that, you have to have this in the format of y equals mx plus b. So you have to solve for y. Subtract 8x on both sides. Bring down the 4y. Always write the x first, so that's a negative 8x. And this is a positive 40. Divide by 4 on both sides to get the y alone, and after that, then you'll be able to get the slope and the y-intercept because you solved for y. Now, negative 8 divided by 4 is negative 2. And there you just bring down that x, and 40 divided by 4 is 10. And now you have your equation of the line. It's y equals mx plus b. And the slope, to answer the question now, the slope is negative 2. And the y-intercept is 10. And that's number 3. Number 4 says solve the system of equations using the elimination method. This is set up already, so negative 5y and positive 5y cancel out. 6x plus 3x is 9x. a negative 20 and a positive 2 make together a negative 18. You divide by 9. You can see why elimination is much easier. You divide by 9, you're going to be solving for x in less than a minute. X equals negative 2. That's why people like the elimination method better. Now, you have to substitute this x in, and I'm going to pick the second equation. It doesn't matter which one you pick. Pick the second equation because it doesn't have a negative 20. It has actually no negatives in it at all. So I'm going to substitute that negative 2 in for the x and add the 5y, bring down the 5y, and bring down the equals 2. This is negative 6 because it's 3 times negative 2 equals 5y. You add 6 on both sides. And you have 5y equals 7. Divide by 5. Divide by 5. All right, and then you will have a decimal. So all you have to do is put into your calculator 7 divided by 5, and you get 1.4. And that's it. Remember, you can get decimals when you're dealing with the algebraic method of solving here. All right, so that's just, I just want to make sure that you know that. This one, use substitution to solve this system of equation. What's the result of the first step? All right, we're going to use substitution. This one's solved for y already, so I'm going to just go ahead and circle this and substitute it in for the y. So x plus 2, and instead of y, we have 4x plus 3. All right, so that's what you're doing. You substitute. If it says use the substitution method, use it. And substitute, get one of the equations solved for y. If it's already solved for y, guess what? That's a good thing. So now you do distributive property, and 2 times 4x is 8x. 2 times 3, don't forget about that. It's not 2 plus 3, it's 2 times 3 is 6. So I'm going to bring down the x, and I'm going to bring down, this is an x, and I'm going to bring down this 10. X plus 8x is 9x. Plus 6, and you see what you have? You have a two-step equation. You subtract 6 from both sides. You have 9x equals 4. You divide by 9. Divide by 9. All right. And now, remember, you'll have a calculator for this test. And you do 4. You put 4 into the calculator first, divided by 9. And it is 0.44. And we can leave it at that. All right, when you substitute it in. For some reason, it comes out to a decimal. It won't do that on the test. All right, I promise. So that's what you get for the review sheet, though. All right, so that's it. And then now you substitute that in for the y, for the x. So it's 4 times 0.44 plus 3. And 4 times 0.44 equals 1.76. Then you add 3 to it, and you get 4.76. And that's y. So your x, put in is 0.44. Your y, 4.76. And that's it. Okay. Alrighty. Solve the system of equations using the elimination method. Much easier. Add the 2x and the 5x, 7x. Add the 9 and the 5, 14. And yes, you have x equals 2. Divide by 7 on both sides, and that's what you get. X equals 2. I'm going to pick the first one to substitute that into 2x plus 5y equals 9. So you substitute that x in. It's 4 plus 5y equals 9. Remember, you have to solve for y. So you're subtracting 4 from both sides. So that's 5y equals 5. You divide by 5, and y equals 1. Right? So it's 2, comma, 1. That's where the lines intersect. That's the system of equations. Write an equation that represents a linear function. Remember, it has to be in y equals mx plus b format. You could basically put anything down here. Y equals x plus 2, y equals 3x minus 10, even y equals x. Y equals half x. Think about a line, a linear equation, plus 5, it doesn't matter. Right? Those are all linear equations. Write an equation that does not represent a linear equation. Y equals anything with an exponent and with the variable. X squared plus 3. That's going to be a U shape. Parabola, it's called. Y equals x squared. Just x squared. All right. Anything with an exponent and that is next to the variable, it's going to be a U shape. It's not going to be a linear function. And that's it. What is the solution to the system of equations below? Definitely use elimination for this if they don't say anything else to you. If they give you the choice using algebraic methods, then you definitely go ahead and use whatever method that you think is easiest. So now you get 15y because 12y plus 3y is 15y. You divide the 15 on both sides and you add 21 and 24 to get 45, and you will get y equals 3. And that is nice and easy. I'm going to pick the first one, 6x plus 3y equals 21. So you have 6x plus 3 times 3, because I'm going to substitute the y that I just solved for in for the y to get the x, and then solve for x. All right, so that's 6x plus 9 equals 21. You subtract 9 from both sides, subtract 9 from both sides. You get 6x equals 12. Divide by 6 on both sides, and x equals 2. Awesome. So 2 comma tray, all right, is where the lines intersect. What's the solution to the system of equations graphed below? There is no solution. No solution. No solution. The lines are parallel. They never meet. So there is no solution. All right, so this one is a little bit of a throwback question. And I say throwback question because it's from Unit 1. The line crosses the y-axis at 1, and you need 2 things to get the equation of a line. You need the slope, and you need the y-intercept. So you already have the y-intercept as 1. Now you just have to find the rise over run, the slope using rise over run. So I see you pick 2 points that are good whole number points, which the y-intercept is 1, and this is another. You make your triangle like that. So you count 1, 2, and the rise is positive 2 because you're going up. And then you count 1 over to the right, and the run is 1. So the slope is rise over run. The rise is positive 2. The run is 1. It is a positive slope of 2. So the equation of line y equals mx plus b is y equals, the m is your 2, x comes down, and the b is 1. That's the equation of the line. Nice and easy. Number 11, solve the system of equations using the substitution method. To use the substitution method, you have to get 1 equal to either x or y. So I'm going to rewrite the first equation, and I'm going to solve for, I'll solve for y. So this cancels. Y comes down. Y equals negative x. Then I'm going to use the second equation, and for y, I'm going to put in negative x minus 2y equals 6. X minus 2 times y, which is negative x now, equals 6. X, and then now it's kind of like distributive property, but it's negative 2 times negative x is positive 2x. Negative times negative, and then 2 times 1, which is the coefficient in front of the x. So you have 3x equals 6. Divide by 3. X equals 1. To get y, you just substitute into one of the equations. I would use the first one, x plus y equals 0. X is 1. So all you have to do is solve for y by subtracting 1 from both sides. And y is alone. Y equals negative 1. So you have 1 comma negative 1 as the system to the solution. It says describe the graph of the following equations. This is a linear function. it's a linear function. This one here is not non-linear. It's non-linear because of the exponent. You cannot have a linear function with an exponent and with the variable. All right, so it's non-linear, and it's also U-shaped. And it's a parabola. All right, so it's U-shaped, it's non-linear, it's going to be in the shape for U because of that exponent. Number 13, solve the system of equations using the substitution method. Again, they're both equal to y, so I'm going to just circle one and substitute it in for the other. So now you have x minus 5 equals negative x plus 10. You're going to add x to both sides, getting the smaller over to the larger. That's 2x minus 5 equals 10. Add 5 to both sides. Add 5 to both sides. 5's cancel. 2x equals 15. Divide by 2 on both sides. X equals 7.5. Remember, you can get decimals. So y equals x minus 5. I'm going to put that one right there, that equation. Instead of x, I'm going to put in that 7.5. And y equals 2.5. Right, so you have 7.5, comma, 2.5. Solve the system of equations using any method you prefer. Well, I prefer elimination. So I'm going to go for the x's. All right, you could go for the 12s, the y's. It doesn't matter. So, but you can multiply. I want this to be a negative 6. So I'm going to multiply this by 2. If you wanted this to be a negative 12, you would multiply by 12. Right, but I'm going for the x's. So when I do distributive property, it's 2 times negative 3, which is negative 6, x. 2 times negative y, which is negative 2y. 2 times 9, which is 18. And what I asked everybody to do is just go ahead and rewrite the equation that you did not work with. And then you can see that they cancel out. So you have 10y equals 36 plus 18. And that's 54. You divide by 10. Divide by 10. And the answer is y equals 5.4. Okay, so now we have to substitute in to get an x. And it's really actually pretty difficult here. So I'm going to just, I guess I'll use the second one. Okay, so you have 6x plus 12 times 5.4. equals 36. Okay, so you have 12 times 5.4, which is 64.8. Bring down the 6x. Remember, you have to solve for x. And bring down the 36. So you do have to subtract the 64.8 minus 64.8. Oops. You just put a line to keep me in place. You just have to do 36 minus 64.8, and you get negative 28.8. And 6x is equal to that. Divide by 6. Divide by 6. You will get a negative. X equals negative 28.8 divided by 6, and you get a negative 4.8. So you get negative 4.8, 5.4. Okay, and that's that. All right, this question is asking you, what is a possible solution to the system of equations? It's number 14, graphed below. And it's not, you realize that it's not a whole number solution. And that's really what the question is asking. And remember, this is going to be multiple choice, so you're going to pick the best possible solution for it. So just to look at it, you could go over 3, a little bit more than 3. So you could say it's like 3.5 on the x. It's where the lines cross, so it's 3.5 on the x, and then 1.5 up. And that would be the solution. That's it. Number 16 is asking you to set up an equation that charges a one-time account fee of $40 and a rental fee of $25 per month. Company, and that is spelled wrong. That is spelled wrong. Company B charges $30 a month with no other fees. So when we set this up, remember, if you're comparing companies, you are basically setting them equal to each other. So company A is that, and company B is $30 per month with no other fees. So that's it. You set them equal to each other. All right, so it's kind of like y equals 30m and y equals 40 plus 25m. And it's kind of like using substitution. Remember, you circle one and you substitute it in for the other. All right, so in this one, you bring the smaller m over to the larger m. That's 25m minus 25m minus 25m. This cancels out, and you get m. 30 minus 25 is 5m, equals 40. You divide by 5 on both sides to get the m alone. Divide by 5. And m equals 8. So that's it. How many months? 8 months. The companies will cost the same. Number 17, another substitution problem, and I could see right away that I want to go and solve for y in the second equation. because it's very easy to solve for y there. The 3x's cancel, y comes down, equals 3x plus 15. Now we're going to substitute this into the y in the first one, in the first equation, right there. Okay, so this is going to be a lot of work here. Negative 4x plus 4 instead of y, it's going to be 3x plus 15 equals 4. So now you have to deal with distributive property. That's 12x. And 4 times 15 is 60. Bring down the equals 4. And bring down the negative 4x. Negative 4x and 12x, you have to combine like terms. That's 8x. Plus 60 equals 4. Minus 60. Minus 60. Oops. Move this down. 60's cancel. 8x equals negative 56. Divide by 8 on both sides. 8's cancel. X equals negative 7. Now to get the y, what you really have to do is, you already solved it for y here. But I'm still going to use the original, what they gave me. Alright, it's plus a negative 7 equals 15. So it's really just like minus 7. So you could rewrite that negative 3x minus 7, because that's what it is. It's 15. Plus 7. Plus 7. Equals 22. Divide by negative 3. Divide by negative 3. X equals, I'm sorry. I messed up. Take a look at what I did. Solve for x. And I substituted the x in for y. And that's why it wasn't coming out right. So I'm going to erase that. Like that. And yeah, erase the whole thing. All right, so that was a mistake. Negative 3x plus y equals 15. I was wondering why it wasn't working out right there. So it's negative 3 times negative 7, because this is x, and x is, that's what it's supposed to be substituted in, and you're supposed to solve for y. So negative times negative is positive. And 7 times 3 is 21. So you subtract the 21 from both sides. And y is negative 6. And now you have negative 7 comma negative 6, which is your solution to the system. That was a lot of work. That's why I don't like substitution. Number 18 says, what is the system of equations that graph the parallel lines? No system or no solution. What would it look like graphed on a coordinate grid? Well, something like this. This is not a coordinate grid, but plus 3. Y equals Remember, they have the same slope. So if they have the same slope, it doesn't matter what the y-intercept is. If they have the same slope, they're rising and running at the same rate, both lines, and they'll both look like complete parallel lines, like that. All right, so that's what that'll look like. Number 19, is there a solution to the system of equations below? The answer is yes, there is a solution, but it's off the grid. All right, since this is a 10 by 10 grid, it's happening somewhere like over here. It's still happening though. So there is a solution to that system. It's just off the grid. Write a linear function that is parallel to this one. It's anything with y equals 4x. Anything. You could just leave y equals 4x. But if you want to add some kind of y-intercept, that's fine. Remember, as long as they have the same slope, that'll be it. And that's good enough. It says solve the system of equations graphically, and this will be on the test. Well, all of this is on the test, but we'll try to make this graph a little bit smaller. Okay, so the first thing that I want you to do is to identify the slope. And remember, put it over 1. Put the arrows next to it. Positive slope means going up, and positive slope means going to the right. So this is the rise over run. That's why that's like that. The y-intercept is negative b, negative 6. So that's the y-intercept. That's the first point you put on the line. Negative 6. That's where it crosses the y. And then you go up 2 and to the right 1. Up 2 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 to the right 1. 2 to the right 1. And up 2 to the right 1. To get more points down here, you go down 2 to the left 1, just the opposite, down 2 to the left 1. And now just draw your line the best that you possibly can. And I'm doing the best that I possibly can here. Remember to put arrows on the line. And since you're graphing more than one line, you have to label the line. 2x minus 6. Okay, so let's do this one in red. The slope is 1 over 1. And again, this is a positive slope as well. So you're going up and to the right. This is the rise. That's the run. The y-intercept is where it starts is negative 2. So since this is a 1 slope, it's 1 and 1. Rise 1, run 1. Rise 1, run 1. Rise 1, run 1. That's your system. Rise 1, run 1. That's the solution. And then down 1 to the left. Down to the left. Down to the left. And keep on going like that until you run out of space on the graph. And then you go draw your best line. Hopefully they give you a straight edge or a ruler. And you put your arrows, and you have full credit as long as you label a line. But it's not finished. You still need the solution. And here is the solution. So it's 4 for the x, up 2. 4, 2 is the solution to that system. That's how you do it. Okay, number 22. On the first day of drama sales, the school sold 5 senior citizen tickets and 10 children's tickets. For a total of $80. The second day of sales, the school sold 3 senior tickets and 2 child tickets. for $24. So just take one at a time here. So we're going to start out with the first 5 senior citizen tickets. So we're going to put 5S. Then 10 children tickets plus 10C equals $80. All right. Now, the second day of sales, school sold 3 senior tickets plus 2 child tickets for 24. And there's your system. You made a system with a real world situation, based on a real world situation. Now you could either use elimination or substitution. I'm going to choose to use elimination, and I want to eliminate the C's. To eliminate the C's, I need this to be a negative 10C for it to cancel out. So for it to be a negative 10C, I would have to multiply that 2 by negative 5. And that's what I have to multiply the whole thing by. So I'm going to get negative 15S, negative 10, negative 10C. All right. And since it's going to be a negative, negative times a positive, the answer to 5 times 24 is negative 120. Okay, so now I'm going to rewrite the first equation down underneath it. And yes, the C's cancel. So I'm going to write up here, negative 15S plus 5S is negative 10S. Negative 120 plus 80 is going to be negative, all right? And it's going to be negative 40. So we're finding the price of a senior ticket right now by dividing by 10 on both sides, negative 10 on both sides. So the price of a senior ticket is $4. Senior ticket's $4. And now you have to find the price of a child ticket. I'm going to take the first one, 5S. I like all the reason why I'm picking the first one is because it's all multiples. It has 5, 5, 10, and 80. They seem like easy numbers to me. 5 times 4 plus 10C equals 80. 5 times 4 is 20 plus 10C equals 80 minus 20 on both sides. And 10C equals 60. You divide by 10 on both sides. Divide by 10 on both sides. C, which is the price of the child ticket, is $6. So $6 for the child ticket and $4 for the seniors. Shouldn't seniors be more? Right? I don't understand this. But anyway, that's it. You don't put it into coordinates because they're prices of tickets. So it's a real world situation. It says solve this algebraically for X and Y. So as soon as I see that one is solved for Y already, I'm going for substitution. And I'm going to substitute that in for Y right there. So it's 10. And instead of Y, I'm going to put 2X plus 5. And it'll be like this on the test. equals 5x plus 20. Oops, I forgot the plus. Distributive property, 10 times 2x is 20x. 10 times 5 is 50. Equals 5x plus 20. Now it becomes an equation with variables on both sides. Get the smaller over to the larger, always. You get 15x plus 50. Nice numbers. Like it. Equals 20. You minus 50 on both sides. Minus 50 on both sides. So you get 15x. I'm going to put it up here. Equals negative 30. Divide by 15. Divide by 15. Oh, yeah, it's long. X equals negative 2. So you got the x. Yay. Y equals, this is solved for y. You would never go ahead and substitute that x into the second equation. This one over here, the first one, is already solved for y. So get y equals 2 times negative 2 plus 5. And you have negative 4 plus 5. And y equals negative 4 plus 5 is 1. Negative 2, comma, 1. That's that. All right. The last question is one of the more difficult ones. Maybe not, though, for some people. So it says solve the system of equations graphically. And I know you guys can do this. Everybody could. You just have to follow the directions. Do one at a time. And it's really easy when they're both fractions. Don't be afraid of fractions. All right. So this is a half. That's good. That's the rise over run. That's the rise. This is the run. They're both positive. So the arrows will tell you where to go. Really doesn't look like an arrow there. All right. So the y-intercept is negative 5. So that's the first point I'm putting on there. And the rise is 1. The run is 2. Put a point there. The rise is 1, the run is 2. Rise is 1, the run is 2. The rise is 1, the run is 2. The rise is 1, the run is 2. Going backwards, down, and to the left 2. Down, and to the left 2. Down, and to the left. Down, and to the left. Down, and to the left. Alright, so you draw your line as nicely as you possibly can. And then definitely put arrows on the line. Do not forget y equals to label the line. Y equals half x minus 5. Do that right after you graph the line, and then you'll be fine. For this next one, you see this negative out in front of the fraction? Well, you have to pick either the numerator or denominator to be negative. I always just slide the negative up top with the numerator. And the denominator is the opposite. Because you remember, if the negative, if you make the numerator and denominator both negative, that means you have a positive slope, because negative divided by negative is a positive. Since this is negative 5, it means that is no longer a rise. That's your rise, but it's going down now. And remember, the run is different. That's positive. That means you're still going to the right. The y-intercept is 1, So that's where I'm going to start this. I'm going to put a point right there. So now I'm going to go down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And to the right 2. And there's my point. Go down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And to the right 2. Now go up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And to the left 2. That's all I could do. Because this is only 4. And now we could just go ahead and extend the line. Connect the dots. Always like connecting the dots. Put the arrows. And then try to write this. -5/2 plus 1. So there it is. There's your solution. So let's go put that down, because that's the answer. So it's 2 on to the right, which is the x-axis, and down 4, which is -4. And that's the solution. That's the test. That's everything. All right, good luck. And blank page, it says, attention, please study this review sheet. This is a test with different numbers. If there are any questions that you do not understand, don't remain quiet. Definitely ask a friend, parent, or teacher how to solve a problem. Good luck, everybody. And this video is over.